working with laryngomalacia, breathing, swallowing issues that are chronic. I say this all the time, and this is a really good example of it. A baby won't do anything that's difficult for them or that hurts them. It's the same language. They will avoid it. They're a lot smarter than we are. So when you're dealing with a child, even if it's undiagnosed, guys, when you're dealing with a child that is what they look at as back arching. Now, back arching is a really bad misconception because it's really associated with cerebral palsy. The reason it's associated with cerebral palsy is because you have a neuromuscular disorder or a deviation in all of development. Because we teach, when you're learning the foundations of movement lessons, like to become a practitioner, when breathing, balance, or heart functions are now the center of attention, you're not learning. I don't care if you're dealing with someone with chronic heart disease that's 55. They're not running a country or a company anymore. Just like your baby's not going into development. So the biggest thing you cannot do is fix this. Meaning, do not position your child. What happens when you are drowning? You will go back into this position. This is a natural, this is not fight or flight. This is save my life. And if you're drowning, you know what I mean? There's no talking yourself through it. So even though you're saying, oh, Michelle, but my baby's pulse oximeter is fine, they're at 98. No, this is a breath-swallow ratio. Your child is choosing breathing over all else. So to put them in a car seat, I get it. You have to go to the doctors and so forth. Very, very, very be careful. Have someone in the back seat with that child, because as far as they're concerned, they have learned any movement they make, they will choke, gag, swallow. They will interrupt breath flow. Therefore, they're not doing it. And they'll go from a physical manifestation into what we call as a habitual or manifestation. You know, they only know how to do every movement around the back arch, and this is where it affects the development part. But the medical has to be done first. To tell if it's laryngomalacia, then you go to an ENT. They will scope through. And again, I'm not a doctor, guys. This is just for the movement and just mom around the block. They will scope in the office and see if the valve is interrupted and go from there. And they might say, yeah, they have it. Well, if your child's like this, there are surgical procedures that you can take. Now, if that doctor doesn't do it, they're not going to suggest it. That's how it works. They don't do what they don't suggest. They don't suggest what they don't do. You know, it's like going for a nail person. I loved my girl. I know this is a bad analogy, but she didn't do dips. I wanted to do dips, and she's like, "It's horrible for your nails." No, it's not. I've been doing it, and I had to change. I know it seems so not even the same. It is the same. If they don't do it, like my son does IVIG, if we want to talk medical, which is for his immune system. Meds are $35,000 and so forth. And people think that, oh, if I eat a berry and strengthen the immune system, my son cannot fight bacteria. There's no berry, there's nothing in the world that's going to give him an immune system, and he has to do IVIG. But if that immunologist doesn't practice it, it's not going to be in their toolbox. They're not going to suggest it. So, just teaching you a parent tip. So, but when you have to work with them with movement, the first thing you have to show the brain, this is where, guys, progression is progression. You're going to come underneath your child. See my little fingers down here? I'm not moving the arch. All I'm going to do right now is just work on just a little bit of midline crossing within the esophageal region, the neck region, and the chest region. Do you see how soft and gentle that is? But your child's brain has to know they can do something. When they start to learn they can do something, they do something a little bit more. That's how progression and development starts. But lack of progression, lack of development is that. I know everybody wants the perfect posture, and this is where too at Movement Lesson we don't straighten the feet, we don't do these things. We need to know that their nervous system can start doing something about it. It is that gentle, it is that easy, right? You're in a very difficult chronic situation and your baby needs help, but we have the tools to help your baby. But doing something conventionally to say, oh, I'm going to put my child here. Let me tell you the spasticity they're going to get. They're going to protect the breath. Again, I can't stress enough, guys, this is not flight or flight. This is natural intelligence saying, I don't want to die. You know, if you can't breathe, you will protect it at all costs. And what it looks like from behind, again, I'm just going in just so gentle. I'm barely holding my child. My child's neck is wrenched. I've worked with a lot of cases like this, guys. And I'm going to go in for the midline crossing. And that's what it looks like from behind. You're just here. It's that simple. I'm not doing this. I'm not flipping my baby. I get it that I had to put my baby doll down to talk to you. These are micro movements. This is when I'm working like this, your baby should not be doing this while they're sleeping. And you can do this though while they're sleeping, yes. But they should not. If your baby is more like this during the day, but in their sleep, that means that can suggest, so it can't always be laryngeal. Say that 10 times fast. It could be sleep apnea. It could be central line apnea. There's sleep apnea within the adenoid regions. There's sleep apnea there's 4 types of sleep apnea. There's many things that can be involved. If your child is more fine during the day, but will back arch or do this is definitely a respiratory response because we relax when we sleep. So you're not going to get tighter when you sleep, but because we relax when we sleep, that's also when the breath goes. This is why people get sleep apnea when they become aging adults. It's not that they didn't have it before it was undiagnosed. It's because they're getting, I hate to say it, lazy. The muscles are going, and this is why you need to keep moving even as an aging adult, because otherwise these low tone features will come into play. So I just didn't know by the comments if yes, you can do any movement lesson when your child's asleep. Matter of fact, I snuck out to work with someone the other night to work on his palate because I don't like to get bit during the day, and I can get away with that at night. And it was a treat lesson, but it needed to be done. So the lessons at night, that's how I learned. This is how I learned my gentle touch and these lack of movements, because my kids were lab rats. I'd go in there at the middle of the night and I would make it dark, and if it wasn't dark, I'd turn the lights out. This is why lots of times if you're working with me in my clinic, you'll actually see me with my eyes closed. I trust my hands way more than my eyes. Right? And so sometimes I'll just close my eyes. And so I'm just going in to really feel those movements. And like I was saying, what I call this is it's like having microsurgery without knives when I work like this. And so, yeah, some people think I'm checking out. No, I'm getting pretty deep into the lesson. But again, that's where I learned. I learned off my children. I touch everyone like they're my child in that sense, that gentleness and so forth. So hold on. The only way that you can check for laryngeal, and now I'm not going to be able to say it. The only way that you can check for laryngomalacia is through the ear, nose, and throat. They will scope. It has nothing to do with the MRI. MRI will start showing some soft tissue, but the MRI will also show abnormalities in the brain. When you're working with something like central line sleep apnea and so forth too, you have to make sure that they looked at the right areas of the brain. It's just general neurology that they're looking at. But again, I'm not a doctor. You know what I mean? Like I've just gone around the block. I do have kids with trachs because they have central line sleep apnea. And I've even had one that has the cables in to stimulate the chest functions. But literally, he was really one of my big aha breakthroughs. I've been working with him for gosh, now 13, 14 years now. But because the reason why Marcel's a big aha for me, because when he was diagnosed as a baby with central line sleep apnea, they say all babies with this condition are very delayed, right? And so, and I'm like, how are you delayed from sleep apnea? But when I learned the whole process of the trach, or you're even closing your eyes and you're going to lack of breath, it's that interruption. These are where my ahas come from. It's not just from my son Graham. I've worked with a lot of children, but his mom is one of my oldest clients, as far as just me practicing. And so when she had him, so we've been working with him since, but, Again, we're not looking for these things. I know it. But I'm telling you right now, if your baby is back arching like that, your baby's in trouble. And you know they're in trouble. But you've got to understand, most doctors are looking for the X, right? Just like they're looking for that sunken treasure. They're looking for that X of what they need to treat. You're here to treat the movement part of it. You still have to go through the doctors. I can't avoid that for you. What I hopefully I can do from the advice I give in that sense is to shorten your thing. I mean, I did 3 years of doctors, 26 doctors, 30 surgeries so far. Like, nobody should go through what my son went through, much less you as parents. Like, I'm trying to bypass all of this. You've no idea, how do I say this, like, lightly? Like, the time I've wasted. Again, I might have time to waste. You know what I mean? When you get to an adult, your life's kind of like goes like this, and then it goes like this again. Our kids don't have time to waste, and we don't have time to waste when you're trying to work and you're trying to get all these things done. We need to be there for our child, but it needs to be efficient, quick, and to the point. And if you're not working on their development, guys, and you're waiting for this diagnosis to come in, I cannot begin to tell you. But if you are not getting the right help about the sleep apnea, like I said, there's 4 types of it. And most people think of it, sleep apnea as, an aging adult. And it's not. It can present right at birth. But if you're not getting the help that you need, especially around sleep and breathing, the ER is that way. You know what I mean? You don't have to be in chronic, but you can tweak the truth a little bit and say, my child, I thought I saw him turning blue. I mean, I hate to say these things. Don't. I probably shouldn't, that I'm going live with it. Guys, your kids need help, and sometimes if you're not getting it, you just got to do what you got to do. But if you're not getting, if it's another 2 months for a test, if it's another 2, our babies don't have 2 months. You and I, you know what I mean? 2 months to the sleep apnea test, fine. But these kind of test centers aren't up. Our countries aren't prepared for it. If you have to go through the front door, then you go through the front door. If you know that a doctor is working, I hope you don't mind, Maggie, then I'm telling a couple little fibs here. I mean, I'm just saying to get services. If you know of a specialist that you want to get to too, find out where they have privileges, meaning what hospitals they work at. You go to the ER, I want a consultation with Dr. So-and-so. And that's also how you get on their dance card. Now you're an established patient. Again, I've had to do everything like this. My son's almost died. I can't even tell you how many times. Doesn't look like it, but he has. And you just got to do what you got to do. We're here for you. And, so I'm sorry you got a thumbs down on that. But really, I can't tell you how to work this system. It's not about working the system. But if your child's back arching like that and they're having trouble breathing, take it seriously. Take it seriously. Don't listen to the comments and, well, that might be CP. I don't care if it's CP or not. Your child's not breathing right. And that's what I'm after. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily about that type of diagnosis, especially when it's neuromuscular type of diagnosis, the hypotonia. I don't care if my son's low tone. He's not breathing. I don't care if my son's high tone. He's not breathing. If that's your comment, that's what you have to go after. You have to go after the health of your child. And let me tell you, you can't watch them like this for 24/7, right? And when it's respiratory distress, if that's what you need help with, I can't stress enough, the ER is that way. Most people think of the ER, and I just have to spell it out sometimes. Cuts, bruises, broken bones, I get it, or RSV or something that's chronic. Not breathing is chronic. Please take it seriously. I know Facebook is a wonderful tool, and I'm so glad to be able to be here through it. But when you need a doctor, you need a doctor. And I cannot stress that enough around laryngomalacia and breathing, swallow dysfunctions, anything to do with that. But there are a lot of kids going through it, and they don't have the equipment. It can take you sometimes months to get a swallow study or anything like that, or you're waiting for someone to say, it doesn't look so bad, they should grow out of it. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. You can't handle oxygen deprivation. You just can't. That's a whole nother animal. And now we're getting into trauma. And I'm not saying all kids are going to go there. am not, but I don't want yours to be one that might be. And so when I get a little, I wouldn't say flippant when I do my lives, it's still a lives. I'm really doing this again for everyone's benefit. But at the end of the day, I say it all the time, I need to see a video of your child to really give you what you need. Thanks.